So in this video, I'm going to try and use ChatGPT to help me design a web page that I have in mind for some functionality that I need for the modeling, deterioration modeling framework that I am working on. And so the web page that I've got in mind looks like this. This gray box represents the overall web page. And first of all, I want to have a panel on the left-hand side where I'm going to host some controls. Then I want a main panel over here in which I'm going to display either a large grid or a map depending on the context. And then I want in here a panel that will hold some input controls like drop-down boxes and a button to fetch the data from the server, etc. And then here I want to have a list of items that will be loaded from the server. And so when that list of items is displayed, it will be in here in a scrollable list, and there will be a button here where you can choose if you want to display the data in a map or something else. I'm not going to cover that in this video. I'm just going to see how long it takes me to work with ChatGPT to get this layout going, and also a little bit of JavaScript to just get all the controls in place, etc. Now, just a little bit of background. If you are a programmer and watching this video, you may have cold shivers going down your spine, seeing that I don't have full domain knowledge of what I'm doing. I am basically a civil engineer. I'm using code here just as a means to an end. The objective of this page is basically to go and load data from the server. So I'm not going to do that in this video, but basically we'll go to the server, extract some data, and that data has to do with a road network. And what we want to do is to display the different areas of the road network on which we are planning to do work. And each of those areas are going to be shown in this box. And the icon here, what I have in mind is that if you click on it, it will open that card and it will show a little bit more information about that specific treatment area. And then later on in other videos, I will add functionality so that all of these cards will be shown as dots on a map and that you can zoom in, etc. So that's basically what I want to achieve with this video. That's the type of layout that I have in mind. Okay, so let's go and I'll show you the working area that I'm going to use. So basically you can see here I've got Visual Studio Code open over here, and over here I've got ChatGPT. So I'm going to ask my questions for ChatGPT in here. I'm going to take the code from here and I'm going to paste it in here, and then I will run this page in the browser so that I can see my progress and track my progress. So I've got a demo folder here, and I want to keep this a very simple demonstration application. I'm not writing a huge application. I basically want a one page to do what I've got in mind. So I'm going to go into this demo folder. I'm going to add a page which I will call index.html. So that's just a basic web page. And then in this folder I'm going to add another file which I will call Agatha1.js. So that's my JavaScript file. So Agatha is basically just a code name for the project that I'm busy working on, and so I'm just going to stick with that name. All right, so I'm going to copy my code in here for the web page layout, and I'm going to copy my JavaScript code in here. So let's see how it goes. I'm using ChatGPT 4. I've got a pro subscription for $20 a month. And that's basically my constraint here. I can use O1, but I've only got a few responses. It told me recently I've only got a few responses left, so I'm going to use ChatGPT 4 because I think that'll be good enough for what I'm going to do here. So the first thing I'm going to do is describe what I want to achieve with this page, and let's see how well I can do it so that ChatGPT understands what I want from it. So here I go. I am developing an HTML and JavaScript application. I need the following layout on my HTML page. I'm going to just also add in here using Bootstrap. Okay, so Bootstrap is the framework. For those of you that are not programmers, Bootstrap is the framework basically that is very useful for layout, and gives a very nice layout on web pages so that you can view it on a desktop or on an iPad or an iPhone, etc. Okay, so I need the following layout on my HTML page, and I'm going to say 1. On the left, I need a panel to hold inputs and a list of elements. Call this okay, so instead of panel, I come from a Windows Forms background, so I often use panel. I'll just say div, because div is basically the area for a web page. Call this div left panel, right? And then I'll say 2 on left pan. I'll also put here it should take up approximately 20% of the page width. On the left panel div, I need 2 divs. One at the top called inputs panel, and one at the bottom called treatment areas panel. Alright, so I'll remember these names so later on I can point ChatGPT specifically to these areas. Okay, so then I'm going to say 3, I also need a div take up the rest of the space to the right of div. Alright, and then I'm going to just put a few controls on the input panel. So that's the panel in the left at the top. So I'm going to say 3, 4 on input. Put the following controls with each with the label above the control to save space in the horizontal direction. A. Label folder code with input called code beneath it. B. Label model output. No, so I'll call that model input file with drop down list below it. C. Label model treatments file with a drop down below it. Sorry, I just have a problem with a chicken coming into my office here. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just going to get it out of here with my spray can. Okay, so with a drop down below it, and D, a large button below at the bottom that says load data. Now, so I'm going to describe basically everything that I showed you in that sort of PowerPoint layout. I need to describe here, and I need to be as specific as possible. So 5, in the div named treatment areas panel, I want to load a set of cards, each linked to data loaded in the script file. Okay, and each card should have a label, and then to the right of it a small button with a info icon. Clicking on the button should toggle the card to show or hide additional information. Assume each card has data elements as follows: A, title; B, information with some new line characters inside it, because I want to actually make sure I can stack the information, so it could be quite high. C, color; color; D, lat and long coordinates; and E, an ID. Okay, so I'm going to first see how ChatGPT does with all of this information, and then I'll take it from there. Now I'm going to give it some additional instructions in here. So I'm going to say only return code with minimal explanation. So I'm not going to say no explanation, I'm just going to say minimal explanation. So sometimes I find it can tell me, because I'm not an expert in, I used to be quite good and experienced with JavaScript, and never so much with HTML, but it's been a few years since I coded in that, so sometimes it may just be useful. And I'm going to say put the HTML and Java in different response panels. Okay, so I'm going to give it a go and see how that goes. So you can see it's generating the HTML for me there. I'm going to say answer in the chat instead, so that it's a bit longer and easier for you to follow. And you'll notice I don't say please and thank you and I would like to and so on in here. So you may think that it's more polite to ask please, but I asked ChatGPT, will I get a better response if I omit words like please, etc.? And it said yes. So that's one reason why you don't need to be polite to the machine. So this is the HTML that it's generated right in here. So I'm just going to click on copy code, and I'm going to go over here to my index file, and I just paste in here. There it is. And now I've got my script. Here is my script in here. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put it into my JavaScript file here. Control V, right? It's in there. And now I'm going to right click on this and say open with live server, and you can see it's opened it here, right? So you can see it looks okay, the layout looks all right, but it hasn't loaded any of the items here like I asked. And the reason for that is, you can see in my index file here, it's assumed that my script is called script, but my script is actually called Agatha1. So I'm going to just take this out and say Agatha1, and there you go. So now I've got an area here, and you can see I've got the little button there to open up the different panels. So ChatGPT has really done quite well to generate this for me, and there's not so much really that I currently need to change, but I do want to see, I want to make, first of all, this panel here, I want it to auto size. right? So I'm going to ask it to auto size it for me, and then I am going to ask it to put the button, this little button next to the title, so that the card collapses completely instead of showing it like that. So, but first I'm just going to give it the one instruction to make this panel to resize with the code, with the inputs that I've got on it. So I'm going to say good. I don't need to say that, but I will. Make the input div so that it automatically sizes with the controls in it. I'll put sizes the height with the controls in it, right? So let's see what it comes up with there. So there's a new page. Just make sure it generates everything. Now I'm just going to replace my entire page here. So copy code. You can see there's some explanations here. So I go back into my file here in Visual Studio Code. Control A to select everything. Control V to paste it. And I've got a layout here automatically. I must just replace that with Agatha 1, and I'm going to say to ChatGPT, from here on, assume the script file is called Agatha 1. It's probably going to regenerate for me now my alright, so now I'm going to complain a little bit about these cards, and tell it to generate it so that the button is next to it and the width is automatically. So I'm going to say the card elements that you are loading via JavaScript are too high. This is because the button, it's called the info button, needs to be directly to the right of the label and not underneath it. Also make the label font a little smaller. Let's see how that goes. Updated CSS, so I'm going to, this goes into the HTML file, so I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to, while it's generating that, I'm going to go in here and see card title, put that in there. Let's see if that works. And then updated JavaScript, copy code. We go in here, Control A to select everything, Control V to paste over it, and then we go in here, and you can see it's done it's done better. The labels are smaller and the button is directly beneath it, but there's still too much white space around the label. It looks good. If I click on it, it opens it up, but there's too much white space before the button is clicked. So there is too much Y in the cards. This makes the height, especially before we fix this. Updated CSS, copy that, and I go in here, card, right, so I'm going to replace all of that. I'll just fix my indent here, And then here's my JavaScript. Control A, Control V, and let's go and see. Yep, that looks much better. So you can see, oops, all right. All right, now I'll complain about this button. It's way too small. So I'm going to say make the info button also the label text a bit larger. So it's still updating my CSS, my style for the page. I'm going to just copy that in there, all of that, and my JavaScript. Control A, Control V, and let's go and see now. So that's better. The button there is, it's looking quite good. The new line character is not registered. So I'm going to say, so you see here in my script, I've got a new line character. I want this more info. I want it to be wrapped around to be on a new line. And it's not happening, even though it's got a new line character in there. So I'm going to say that the new line character field is not taking effect. That is, in this line, for example, info etc. to be on a new, but can you fix? All right, let's see. It says to ensure that new line characters are rendered actual break, you can use the white space CSS. This property will make the browser into as line breaks. Here's the updated solution. So card text. So I'm copying that. I'm going to go in here, card text here, and I Control V out, and then my updated JavaScript in here, Control A, Control V, and let's go and see. So now if I click on this, there we go. Now it's got it on two lines, right? But I can see the button. If I refresh the page, you'll see if I click the button the first time, it doesn't actually take effect. So it looks like that's not such a big deal. I don't want to confuse it too much now. So let's first see how it will perform if I ask it to generate 200 example treatment areas instead of 3. Let's see how it goes with that. Just give it a compliment. Great. Now let's see, we will say in the 3 example cards, generate 150 instead. Let's just see what that list looks like and so on. So it's basically just put this in a loop, a for loop here. You can see it's using a very compact style of JavaScript. So this is not something I would have used back in the day when I was still coding in JavaScript. And there's probably a vast number of examples that ChatGPT is learning from for this. So I'm going to just trust this. Let's copy this. And we go and replace our current script. Control A, Control V. And let's go and load this, and you can see there's my 150 examples, and it's used color code on them. All right, so I am starting to suspect that these cards are going to be a bit too narrow. So I'm going to make one more change, and then I think I'll be done, at least for this video and this outcome. So what I want to do here is to just tell it. So I'll go back up and just see what I called that panel. I think I said left panel. Make the left panel div slide 10%. So it says here's the updated CSS. So I've got left panel updated. One more thing that I want to do, I'm going to say make the div that contains the cards a slightly darker color. So you see it's updated left panel and main content there, and here it's updated something else. So I'm going to copy this left panel main content. It goes in here. So there is left panel main content. So I'm going to, okay, I'm tempted to ask it to regenerate the whole HTML page for me in one, but I think I'm not going to do that. So I'll just have to keep my wits about me. So I'm going to just paste it in here. So I've got left panel and main content, the style for those two panels in here. So left panel I replaced, but this, see, there's another main content here, so I got to delete that one. And then I also need to update this for the color. So inputs panel and treatment areas panel. So that's this one here. Control V, and let's go and see what that looks like. So that's good. Now I've got this nice, you can see I've got I can see details about the area. And so now what I want to do in a follow-up video is I want to extract from my folder code, which will be on a web repository. I want to go and extract the model input file and the treatments generated by the Cassandra model. And when I click on load data, I'm going to make a call to the API, and when that information comes down, I'm going to use that to display these cards in different colors. And at the same time, I want to show all of these as dots on a map in this area. And then down the line, I've got some more requirements for this page. But for now, I think that this video is probably less than an hour long at this stage, and I think this was very productive. The layout looks good. I understand the code. The JavaScript code here is quite short, and all I need to do is to go and replace this now with the API call to get the treatment areas. And that I will do in another session for ChatGPT, because I've learned previously that if you have a chat and it just grows and grows and grows, at some point it's going to hit the wall and start getting confused. So it's better to chunk or the different components of what you are building. So in the next session I'm going to do with ChatGPT, I am going to try and ask it to help me with the web service call, not the server-side code, because that's in C#, so that's my home ground. I understand how to work in C#, but I wanted to help me with the JavaScript side to make the API call, get the data back, and actually show real information in these cards. And then we're going to go on and do the map area. So if you are keen to see how this feature of our beta set of tools progresses, please let me know in the comments, and any other friendly comments welcome. I just want to close off again by saying, remember, I am not a JavaScript engineer. I am not a software developer. I'm a civil engineer, and I'm doing this basically just to understand my domain, which is road building, to make that better for clients of ours, and so that they can better see where they are spending money on their networks, etc. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.